Hey, welcome to the Taking L's podcast. We are so
What it do?
pumped that you're here. Come on, you made it. Hey, if you have been listening to us for any time now, you know what we're about. But if you haven't listened before, we're just a couple guys living life, learning along the way. But we're passionate about laughing. We're passionate about living life to the fullest. And we believe that every single one of us has a leader inside of us, and we just want to tap into that a little bit. So hopefully our conversation today can spark that. Bray, if people are listening to the first time, what do they got to do?
Subscribe.
That's it.
That's it.
Perfect.
It's that
Subscribe.
simple.
Make sure you do it. Share it with somebody. Give us a comment.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. Okay.
And there you go.
Boom. Well, what we do in this podcast is we love to laugh.
Yep.
We're going to laugh throughout. But one of the things that we love to laugh
I'm
through.
ready to giggle. I have my giggle pants on.
Let's go. One of the things we love to laugh through is our opening segment.
Yes.
Bray, what's our opening segment for this episode?
Today's opening segment of this episode titled, I always have to double check, you know? I should have known this by now. That's the episode title. We're talking about things that we should know. And today's segment is, Do You Know? And what we're about to do is we're about to ask each other 4 questions. And these 4 questions we got off of a 5th grade elementary school test. Okay? So since you and I are way past the 5th grade,
Just a little bit.
way past the 5th grade, picked 2 gray hairs out of my beard this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I had them actually right next to each other.
That's awesome. Good for you. So, they say it's a sign of wisdom. You're getting wiser.
I'm really excited.
Podcast is really rubbing off on you, you know?
Yeah, no. I'm really excited for the salt and pepper beard.
Yeah.
I'm going to look so good with that.
Bert, do you know who has one of my favorite beards?
Who's that? Morgan Freeman.
Deion Sanders.
He has a great beard.
His gray beard is awesome.
One of my favorite beards, Gandalf. We're just ranking beards. So
What would Carly think of you if you had a Gandalf beard?
She would leave me. I don't think Carly likes anything to do with Lord of the Rings. Fun fact about our house. I've watched Lord of the Rings. I like them, but we're not like a big Lord of the Rings house. We're not even like a big Star Wars house. I've never watched Star Wars start to finish.
Yes.
Neither has Carly. But we did just dive into the white world of movies recently, and we watched all the Harry Potters.
A couple episodes ago, we talked about it. The fact that you're bringing it up again just shows, again, just how much you really care about Harry Potter.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching all the Harry Potters.
Wow.
So speaking of 5th graders, now that we're talking about Harry Potters, we are going to do a segment called Do You Know? Here we go. 4 questions. We're going to go back and forth, asking each other a question that we pulled from a 5th grade test. So obviously these are things that you and I should know since we're past 5th grade, but we'll see if we know them.
Okay. Keep a little tally. We'll see who wins.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start off.
Here we go.
Question number 1. Dillon. What is the main character in a story called?
The protagonist.
Wow. Wow. That is I thought I was going to get you with that one. Well done.
Oh, man. Okay, 1 point.
You are also very smart. I am not. So you're
a lot. You always say comments like that. You're a lot smarter than you give yourself credit for. You should probably stop doing that.
I'm street smart. I'm not book smart.
Well, I think street smart's way more important. So you're smart where it
but
matters.
in these type of segments, it does not matter.
Okay.
All right, you're up.
Here we go. First question: Who invented the light bulb?
Oh man, Thomas Edison.
Nice job, you got it.
Yep. I wanted to say Albert Einstein, but I knew that wasn't right. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb in 1887.
Is that accurate?
I have no idea. Cody's
Googling what?
Regardless, I got the question right. I'm just trying to show how smart I am.
What did you say?
1887.
That is incorrect. It is 1879.
You're within 10 years.
Pretty close.
That was pretty
Inside of a
close.
decade.
Pretty
Not bad.
close.
That was good.
Okay, next question for you.
Okay.
The mountain range that includes Mount Everest is what?
I'm pretty sure it's the Himalayas.
Dear God, you're brilliant.
Let's go.
2 for 2. I should have picked harder questions. Dear God.
Come on.
As I was reading this like 5th grade test, I just Googled,
Yeah.
I was actually very impressed with the knowledge of 5th graders. Some of
Yeah.
those were very hard. Like the science one.
Yeah.
I read like the science section and I didn't know any of it.
I mean, you think about it, you do it every day. You're probably going to like catch on pretty quick, but I don't know. And then you don't do it for a lot of days, which is where we're at. And I think that's why it starts to get you.
It's been a plethora of days.
It's been a lot of days.
A plethora of days, if you will.
That's exactly how you should say it moving forward. Do you know what I miss? I miss you singing on the pod. It's been, we didn't really do that last episode. So feel free to bring it back at any point.
I will. Well, last episode we were talking about Black life, so it wasn't much of a singing one.
Yeah,
like what was I going to do? Start singing like Lionel Richie?
That is your favorite karaoke go-to.
It is.
Every single time without fail.
You get it. Okay, you have 2 right. You're 2 for 2. I'm 1 for 1. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. We're both batting 1,000. What are the first 10 amendments in the Constitution called? Spoiler alert, they're not called the first 10 amendments. They are called something else.
These are not the 10 Commandments, correct? Kidding. No. I know that. It's like Moses didn't write those. I feel like once you say it, I'm going to be very upset.
It'll get you.
It is the first 10. The 4 guys wrote these, right? Pursuit of happiness, all men equally. Our country's still working on that one.
Yeah, still working on some of it.
The Second Amendment I know is guns, because that's like what I see white people post on July 4th. The first 10, I have no idea.
It's called the Bill of Rights.
God, that was too easy.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one.
The Bill of Rights, I thought the Bill of Rights was kind of just like what one of them is like a Bill of Rights. Well, I don't know.
It's rights. It's with an S.
Okay, all right, whatever. You're 2 for 2. I'm 1 for 2. Here we go. Question number 3. What are the 3 states of matter?
3 states of matter. Oh man. Hydrogen.
Okay.
Oxygen.
Okay.
Oh man. I kind of just made up water and started there.
Okay.
Hydrogen, oxygen. Oh man. Hydrogen, oxygen, and I think I'm going to be wrong on this, but I'm going to say carbon.
You are very wrong. Finally. Gas, liquid, solid, the 3 states of matter.
Oh!
You were going way too like, I have a college degree for us. Dang it. Yep. Sometimes it's just better to simplify,
Man, I was kind of going along that way.
Yep.
Bummer.
I can catch up right now. I'm excited. Here we go.
Here we go. How long does it take for the Earth to go around the sun?
365 days.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, you're not going to give me with that one, you little sneaker. Okay, there's no way you get this one.
Okay.
There is no way. If you do, I will be very impressed.
Okay, here we go.
The United States of America and Mexico are separated by what river? This was on a 5th grade test. Matter of fact, I actually pulled this off.
So I had a river. Just
Okay.
it came straight to me when you said it. So I'm gonna go with it. It's the Rio del Grande.
No,
it's
the Rio Grande.
I think,
Cody,
I think,
is he right or is he wrong?
It is the Rio Grande.
Not the Rio del Grande, which sounds like a burrito you get from your local Mexican food restaurant.
Oh my.
Hey,
That's trash.
On Thursdays, if you come in from 4 to 8, $9 for the Rio del Grande and an extra side of salsa.
Oh,
You get the burrito, come for the burrito, leave with the poops.
I'm so pissed at myself for that. God,
Rio del Grande.
side note, that also sounds like an amazing meal.
The Rio del Grande?
Nah, man. I'm in on any like taqueria that's kind of like looks questionable to eat at.
For
It's
sure.
probably even better.
Here's the thing. If I go into a taqueria and there's not a fly near the salsa, I don't want to mess with the salsa.
If there's a taqueria and there's not a salsa bar, I'm not going in there. Some people have some low standards for taquerias and it's disappointing. Just want to throw that out there.
Here's the thing. If I go into a taqueria and the person behind the counter can speak perfect English, I'm out.
100%.
I'm just throwing
And
that
that's
out
the
there.
thing. A lot of our listeners live here in Washington, and we have both lived in places a lot closer to Mexico.
We have, yes.
And it's crazy. You get up here, and all of a sudden you're like, wow,
Whoa.
standards really go down.
We do have fire teriyaki, though. So let's just throw that out there.
Okay, this is such a side note.
Okay.
We're
We're just floating down the Rio del Grande.
Yeah,
right
we're just
now.
doing a little float, having a little conversation. If you were to rank the like top 3 for you,
Okay.
generalized food groups,
Okay.
for what would you do?
Mexicans number 1. We're going real general.
Yeah.
Is soul food an option?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Mexicans number 1. Soul food's number 2. I'm gonna go Italian number 3.
Oh, that's good.
What are yours?
I'll go Mexican number 1.
Okay.
I'll go Asian number 2. There's
Okay.
just so much good Asian food.
I feel like Asian is too broad.
Well, that's the point of picking it.
I know, but
Makes it a
there's-
great pick.
Thank you, Cody. That is what makes it a great pick.
But there's Thai food, there's Indian food, there's sushi. Break down the different types of Mexican foods. There's not that many different groupings
yeah.
that are at least are popular. Obviously, there are. I don't want to sound ignorant.
I could understand that.
Yep. But it is what it is. Okay, back to our second bit here.
Okay.
So you went 2 for 4. You started off hot, and then you ended terribly.
I was like Nick Young hitting that 3 on the Rio del Grande, and then I turned around and that thing just floated right out of there. That's
For those of you on YouTube, I hope you saw his smile when he answered that, and it very quickly went away.
If you know me, I hate losing. I hate being wrong. I'm still mad.
Oh man, you should go listen to one of our episodes called "That's Wrong."
I think we did that one time. Okay, next question.
I could win it right here, folks.
You could win it right here. This one's kind of tough. How many milliliters make up a liter?
I am so bad at these. I don't think I can tell you how many inches are in a foot. I don't know how many ounces.
Stop it. You know how many inches are in a foot.
12.
Okay,
I don't know how many feet are in a yard. 3?
Yes, good job.
Okay, wow, I'm impressed with myself.
You're a fantasy football fan. You get it.
I don't know any of the liquid stuff though. The liquid measurements.
Okay, I almost did this one. How many ounces are in a pound? Do you know that? You cook a lot, so I figured you would know that.
I should know this because I had a child. I think, well, you know, they weigh him. It's like he was 6.8 pounds or whatever. And then, you know, every time you go to the doctor, they give you the ounces.
Yeah, for sure. What's he at
because
right now?
That matters. I think he just hit 16
Pounds or ounces? I'm kidding.
pounds.
Good job.
He is in the 10th percentile. Actually, he's in like the 8th percentile of weight. So my man's pretty skinny for his age. But he's in the like 60th percentile for height.
Oh, that's awesome.
So NBA draft 2044, here we come. Like 2024. Oh, actually, yeah, that could be right.
Off of 60th percentile?
Absolutely.
60th percentile will put him at like 6 feet tall.
No, that he is.
Average height is like, I think for a male is 5'10".
No, but for his age right now,
Oh.
he's in the 60th percentile of height. So he's significantly taller than your average 8-month-old.
I think average is 50th percentile.
Okay, so there's 40% of babies his age that he's taller than.
Yeah. No,
it's 60.
He's
It's
60%.
Yeah, there's 60% of babies that he's taller than.
So he's like 10% above average is what I'm saying. So he's not.
So my man's Yao Ming, shut up. Ask me the question. Oh, you did already.
How many milliliters make up a liter?
16 ounces are in a pound.
Great job. But how many milliliters Make up a liter.
I have no idea. 29.
It's 1,000.
Jeez. So we tied on that one. That sucks.
Oh, you can't count. I got 2. You got 1.
No, I got 2.
Oh, yeah, you did get 2. Dang it.
Yeah,
We
so
did
who can't
tie.
count now, you idiot? Shut up.
Oh, man.
Take your college degree and shove it.
Cody, can you cut that part out, please?
No.
He said no.
So that was our segment, which leads us to our L of the Week, a.k.a. a loss of the week, a.k.a. a moment to laugh at ourselves.
A moment to learn.
The L of the Week. Boop, boop, boop. It's just like you said singing, so there we go.
Keep it up.
My L of the Week is actually my dad's L of the Week. And my dad is a hero of mine. I'm just sitting on my headphones here. My dad is a hero of mine. I asked for permission to share this story. We actually talked about trying to FaceTime my dad in, but sound issues, quality issues, and it's like past his bedtime, which is where we're currently recording. But I was FaceTiming with my dad the other day, which, again, FaceTime is one of my love languages. I love to FaceTime. My dad's one of my heroes. It's great. So my dad is 70 years old. It was just my mom's birthday this past week. And then also, my parents have been married for 40 years.
Wow.
So my dad's 70. My parents have been married for 40 years. And he was talking to me about my mom's birthday and how he basically messed up her birthday gift. And he was saying via FaceTime in a very comedic fashion. My dad's a very funny guy. My dad used to be a stand-up comedian. My dad used to be a lot of things. My dad's a very funny guy.
I had no idea your dad actually used to be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, like an amateur stand-up comedian. He wasn't. This guy's no Kevin Hart, but he got on some stages in the Tempe, Arizona area. Back in probably 1931.
We should take him to like an open mic here in Seattle next time he's in town. That would be funny.
Yeah, if I could get him to cuss, he'd crush it. That's the only thing that would be holding him back.
Yeah.
So my dad's FaceTiming me. It was just my mom's birthday, and he was joking about how he messed up her birthday gift. And he's like, if I only would have done just what she wanted. He's like, I always try to like think outside of the box, do something that I've never done before. Being married for 40 years, that's a lot of birthdays.
Oh, it's a lot of pressure.
So you think like I've done everything she's ever wanted before.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do something totally different. Well,
Totally.
every year he tries to do something different. He just never does what she asked for. And he said, by now you would have think that I would have learned this lesson. He's 70 years old. Okay, 70 years of life, 40 years of marriage. And he's like, I'm still making the same exact mistake every single year for your mom's birthday. I'm trying to do something she doesn't ask for. And every year she's like, if you would have just done the simple thing that I asked for, that would have been the great birthday present. But you want to overthink it, do something outside the box. And I don't even want this abstract, expensive, weird gift that you just got me.
Yeah.
Just do what I asked.
Yep.
And it was funny because we were sitting on the FaceTime laughing about just this idea of my dad, who has lived for 70 years, say, I should know that by now. And that just got me laughing and thinking of if a guy who's 70 years old, been married for 40 years, is at the point in life to where he is still learning life lessons and is still having moments to where he goes, you know what? I actually should have learned this by now.
Yeah.
It got me thinking to myself and us to even have this conversation of like, what should I know by now?
Yeah.
And the same way that we just kind of quiz each other on things that you learned in 5th grade, there are things that you learn in the 5th grade that us as almost 30-year-olds, like we should know these things. Like there are some things in life that we should just know by now. So today we want to have the conversation of, we kind of all heard this term life lessons, right? So today we want to talk about what exactly are those life lessons? How do you live a life to where you are consistently learning life lessons? And then even just what life lessons are we currently learning right now? What are some things that we should have known by now that we are just now learning?
That's great. Maybe we could even start with this question of what is something that that we're learning right now ourselves.
Yeah.
And maybe specifically something that we would go, I feel like I should have learned this by now.
For sure.
And if you're new to this podcast, one of the things that we talk about is our goal is to never have these conversations and shape it like we know it all, but to have conversations even about things that we're learning. And that's kind of even what today's about. So, I mean, I'll start. For me, one of the biggest things I'm learning right now is I'm learning to listen.
That's great.
And I think I'm finding myself like kind of see that reflect itself in a few different ways. One is learning to listen to my wife.
Yep.
For those that are listening to this, it's not like I don't listen to my wife. That's not what I'm saying. But I think, there's once a time when you're like,
Fun fact, I've gotten very vulnerable on this podcast a couple times, and my parents listen every week, and they're like, they'll call me very concerned about the like vulnerable thing that I said, and it's like, so is your marriage okay? I'm like, yeah, marriage is doing great. I was just having a moment of honesty. That doesn't mean we've taken care of that moment, but yes, we're doing great. Fun fact.
That's great. At least they're checking in. My parents are awesome. So for me, like listening to my wife is one that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And I think I've just realized that like, you talk to somebody so much that all of a sudden you find yourself not giving the attention that you should. And for me, what it really comes down to is active listening, not just listening. So what actually will drive Maddie nuts is I'll maybe be on my phone, or I'll maybe be watching TV, or I'll do something else, and she'll be saying something, and you would think that my focus or attention was on something else. And then she would say, hey, tell me what I just said. And then I would go to her and tell her what she just said. And then she would say like, okay, well, like, that's not the point. Like, I'm not talking to you purely for it to be the function of you to hear the words that I say. I'm talking to you because I want engagement. I want your eye contact. I want your attention. For me, now I'm like 2.5 years into marriage, so still a lot to learn.
Yep.
That's something that I'm even learning.
For all those guys out there, if you are in a new relationship or a new marriage or anything new, what Dylan just said, just repeating it back, don't you ever do that. I've done that a plethora of times, and it has got me nowhere.
Yeah. And the reality is Maddie just doesn't want me to hear what she's saying. She wants me to engage. She wants me to truly care.
I love that, actively listening.
Exactly. And truly caring would show I'm not going to just listen and repeat what you just said.
Yeah.
Truly caring is I'm going to turn off what I'm watching. I'm going to set down my phone and I'm going to engage, because what you're telling me means enough that you would actually tell me that. That I would actively listen and participate and truly show that there's care. I will also admit too, just to be 100% honest, that there are times that Maddie will say something to me, and it will maybe be, this doesn't happen like a lot, but it happened recently where Maddie did say to me like, hey, repeat what I just said. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like I can't repeat what you just said.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments for me, and that's part of the reason I'm even bringing this up. It was one of those moments for me where I was like, God, you kind of suck, dude. Like, don't do that. Like that's just terrible. Like, I don't care how long your day was or whatever.
How do you feel when you have those moments? Like, do you like those moments where you go, oh man, I kind of suck? Or do you like, just how do you feel when you have those moments? How often do you have those moments?
I think it's like kind of frustrating, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of like your dad. It's like, oh, like you kind of just like laugh. Like, God, I should have known this by now. You know what I mean? But I think it's what you do with those moments, and I think for me, I'm like, God, that's just like really annoying that you just did that. But it's kind of like, if you do something you don't like, what are you going to do to make sure you don't do it again? And so like, that's for me is part of it. And that's where the active part comes in is like, typically if I have that moment for me where I actually don't listen at all, it's because I was doing something else. Yeah. And so it's like, I need to be way more intentional so I don't miss that. I don't want our marriage one day to become a marriage that we're just like, passing by each other around the house and whatever. Like, I want our marriage to become more and more intentional over time. So it's like, I want to focus on it now so it doesn't just get worse. One of the other things I even wrote down when it comes to listening is I want to be the person who listens more than I talk in a conversation, or at least let that be the focus, because I find myself oftentimes being the person that talks the most and listens the less, or talks the most and doesn't do the best job of asking questions.
If you go to our last podcast, that's not the case. I talk way more than you in our last. Probably in most of our podcasts, I talk more than you. But good thing I am not your wife.
But it's all for the sake of a good podcast.
You get
it.
It's all for the pod.
So that would be me. I just talked a lot.
Long live the pod.
Is there something right now that you feel like that you're learning or you're going through and kind of being like, man, I need to work on that. Why do I not have that figured out by now?
Yeah, I think, and it's kind of a funny one. I'm learning so much right now in life that right now matters. And I was, and not to give another analogy to set the stage, but I was playing this video game that I played a plethora of times. You play as well, Call of Duty, Warzone.
Shout out Call of Duty.
And I was playing with my nephews who are like, I don't know how old they are, like 13 and 11, something like that. They're preteen boys. And I played this, I'm way older than them. I've played this game multiple times. And they were doing something in the game that I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that you could do that. And I remember in that moment, I was like, kind of baffled, but at the same time, like, I love that I'm learning this.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of that moment the other day when I was feeling sorry for myself for learning what I'm about to say I was learning. And I just asked you, I was like, how did you feel in that moment? When you're like, I got to realize that. Like, I just want to take the moment when I was playing video games. For those of you on YouTube, I'm pointing because I literally play video games right over here. That moment when I was like, I'm so glad that I just got a chance to learn that. Like, I want to take that feeling, as dumb as it was in a video game. Like, I've been playing this game for multiple times, and I didn't know that the RB button did that.
Yeah.
And like in life, when we figure out the RB button, we usually feel like bad for ourselves or we get upset or angry. But in that moment, I was pumped that I finally learned that the RB button's there.
Yeah.
And I want to have that same kind of reception in life when I have the moments like the one that I recently had of learning that right now matters. That's the life lesson I'm learning right now, is that right now really, really matters. And I have moments where it's like, man, I should have known this by now, but even just having now an 8-month-old, being 5 years into marriage, having the job that I have to where I've talked about this on the pod before. It's not my dream job. I have other aspirations and dreams that very soon I'm going to chase and go after and do all those things. So it's so easy right now with an 8-month-old who's going to be in my house for the next 18 years to think, right now, this season of his life, like, I'm going to have plenty more seasons. Like, I've been married for 5 years, but my dad's been married for 40 years. Like, we're going to have plenty of more time in our marriage to make memories, to save money, to go on vacations and trips. Like, we have so much time ahead of us. My job that I'm doing right now, it's not my passion. I don't care about it. So it's like, it's not my dream job. Like, it's not the thing that I really want to be doing. Like, I'm just kind of making it through. I'm just kind of coasting in this job. And I find myself getting comfortable with kind of just going halfway. And I'm such a dreamer. And I don't know if anyone else is listening, but for the dreamers out there, I don't know if anyone else is listening. I don't know if any other dreamers are listening. I also don't know if anyone else is listening, hopefully. But for the other dreamers that are listening, I don't know if you find yourself doing this, but being such a dreamer, I just always am thinking so future-minded. That it's easy for me to kind of use that as a cop-out and an excuse of like, down the road, I'm going to crush being a dad. Well, it's like, why can't I do that right now? Down the road, I'm going to give my everything to my job. Well, like, I can do that right now. It may not look how I want it to look. But like down the road, my wife and I are going to travel so much. Well, maybe we don't have the finances to go to all the places of the world that we want to go, but like we can still travel around our city. Like we can still make some things happen right now. So I'm just learning so much of like right now matters. This moment matters. Not to think so far down the road, but actually just to take kind of every day in stride and give my all where I'm finding myself. So
that's awesome.
Kind of thinking about this idea of what we're learning, I want to ask you this. You even said you're learning, the life lesson you're learning is listening. How do you find out that you need to learn this lesson?
That's awesome. It's such a good question because I think for a lot of us, there's actually a lot of things we need to learn.
Totally.
We just don't recognize we need to learn it.
Absolutely. And even people listening, as we're talking about, like, I should have known this by now. Hopefully it's triggered a thought in your brain of like, what do I need to know? Like, what have I not learned yet? So even kind of help us as the listener, I'm putting myself in the listener's shoes right now, help us as a listener kind of even figure out, like, how are you doing this? How are you figuring out things that you need to learn, or things that you need to know, or even maybe moments that you've missed, or life lessons that you missed, if that makes sense.
I think one thing for me is I kind of say this like walking on eggshells, right?
Okay.
I think finding people that you even really admire how they live their life, admire what they do. I've heard that statement, comparison is a killer. I think if you use comparison in the wrong way, it can be, right? Like if all of a sudden I start comparing like all these things between me and you, and that could get really frustrating in some ways. But at the same time, there's a lot of ways that I do compare myself to you as almost like a measuring stick. And go like, man, like Braylon's really good at the way that he, like one of the things I admire about you is how well you make friends and reach out to other people. And I think when you utilize comparison and go like, I actually think I have something to learn there. So like, what can I maybe learn from Braylon, or what is it about that I need to learn about myself that maybe prevents me from not doing that as well as you? And I actually think, like, I use that example because I actually think for me, that's something I've gotten better at by simply watching you do it. So I think to find something that somebody else is doing, or to look at people in your life that you're maybe close with, people in your life that you respect, and comparing what it is. I remember there's somebody else that both of us would be mutual friends with. He's been married for a long time, and I was literally just talking to him about his marriage one day, and I remember he just started saying things, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, no wonder your marriage is in such a good place. Because he was saying things I hadn't really heard a lot of other guys that are married say. Things, that kind of just like, to be honest, they blew my mind, but they shouldn't have blown my mind.
Totally.
And I was like, man, I just kind of admire to be like that. And sometimes you learn from other people, and you find yourself being in a place like, I need to do that better. I don't know. Is there anything for you? What are ways that even you learn things that you're like, I can't believe I don't know that yet?
Yeah, I think allowing myself to hear what I don't know.
Yeah.
So kind of even just running along your idea of listening, but just like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time in life, especially about yourself, you kind of do know what you don't know, or you do kind of know your weaknesses, which life lessons are usually just illuminations of your weaknesses.
So really, if even what you're saying is like being willing to admit what you don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think even just being excited when the moment presents itself. So even kind of going back to the Call of Duty thing of like learning what the right bumper does. Just being excited of the fact that none of us are a finished product. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how amazing you are. Like, no one is a finished product. We all have something to learn. And there is for all of us right now, there's a right bumper in our life. Right? There's something that is right in front of us. It's like, I never knew that if I just did this, that I'd get this result. Absolutely. I never knew that in my relationship, if I just did this thing, that this would open up a level of intimacy that we never had. I never knew that in my job, if I just took 2 hours just to think about this thing, that would allow me to now refocus my time and my day in a whole new way. Like, I never knew that, whatever the right bumper in your life is, just being excited about the fact that we all have something to discover. We all have something to learn every day. Every year of our life, there's a new life lesson that's going to present ourselves. Yeah. That's the awesome thing about life.
It's so true.
We can never figure it out. It's always changing. It is always moving. Life is not just X and Y equals Z. Like, there's so much to life. There are so much, especially for those of us that have friends and are living life in relationship and community, which I hope we all are, because there's nothing more powerful than living life in community. But for those of us living life in community, it's always changing and forcing us to figure out what can we continue to learn and discover about this awesome, amazing life that we're living.
Speaking of life and community, it kind of even brings me to the next thing that I wanted to mention. Of one of the ways that I learn is just getting feedback from people.
Totally.
And hearing from people that are close to you. And I think oftentimes one of the greatest ways that you can learn is just being willing to have people in your life that you can have a posture of being teachable towards, if that makes sense. Like basically saying like, hey, teach me. I want to learn from you.
Yep.
Even people that are your own age, being willing to like kind of just put yourself aside and be like, hey, I want to learn from where you're at.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've heard, and we always talk about Michael Jordan as a great athlete, right?
Yeah.
Phenomenal, considered by a lot of people maybe to be the greatest basketball player of all time. What's always blown my mind is how terrible of a basketball team owner Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people talk about why is Michael Jordan's basketball team, if you don't know this, he owns, used to be the Charlotte Bobcats. Now it's the Charlotte Hornets. He's just not had the best experience drafting, not the best experience with signing free agents, not the best experience with trades, whatever it is, hasn't done the best job running this team. And I've heard different theories. One of the things that I've heard, certain people say that are like really high up in basketball is they've said the reason that Michael Jordan doesn't succeed as an owner is because he doesn't have people around him that will tell him no or tell him that he's wrong.
Wow.
And so as a result, he goes around operating as if he's making all of the right decisions. Now, again, this is speculation. I've heard one person's opinion. This person knows a lot about basketball, but I heard that and I was like, that is amazing. That you could still be considered the best at something, but yet be bad at something else. But because of how good you were, no one's going to tell you that you're bad at that one thing.
Yep. And you know what? I bet you if that someone around him actually spoke up and said, hey, Michael, think about this, I can almost guarantee you what his response would be. I should have known this by now.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so I think even the question, and it kind of leads us into our as you leave.
Yes.
And this is the as you leave for tonight. Are you in a position to relearn? Notice I say relearn, by the way. I think there's a lot of things that we probably should know by now. That's kind of even the conversation of tonight. Like, I should have known this. But are you in a position to relearn? Are you surrounded by people that you're willing to listen to them? Are you putting yourself into positions where you can learn a new thing? Being in a position to relearn things, I think, is so valuable. Anything you'd add as we close?
Yeah, I got about another 40 minutes. Kidding. No, I think you said that beautifully. Again, we want to thank you so much for taking time out of your awesome day to listen. If you're starting your day off with us, ending your day with us, whenever you're listening to us, it means so much. And why we kind of do these as you leaves is because we want you to actually have a tangible takeaway. Mm-hmm. As fun as it is to listen to us kind of banter and giggle and joke and all these things, we actually want this to be something that's tangible that kind of helps you see some results in your life. So really think about, as you listen to these episodes, just kind of the areas that you can have this relate and the areas that you can actually implement this into your everyday life. So again, thank you for joining and listening.
We love you.
We love you. Subscribe, like it, post it, share it, work it, work-a-matic.
Siggy, and here it is.
Work it, turk it, automatic. Goodbye.